Imagine this. You're in the legal fight of your life, maybe for your own home, and you've got it, what you think is the smoking gun, the one piece of evidence that could change everything. But then, the court just refuses to look at it. Not because it's not important, but because of a technicality, a tiny little loophole in the rule book. Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. A case where the rules of the game themselves were on trial. And it all comes crashing down with this one sentence from the judge. With those words, the door just slammed shut. Homeowner Jeremy Bass had what he believed was absolutely crucial evidence to save his home, and just like that, it was off the table. It's a pretty shocking moment, and it immediately makes you ask some really big questions.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth can a court just ignore evidence? And yeah, what was in those files that was so important? These are the exact questions we're going to dig into. We'll look at the case of Jeremy Bass versus two corporations. And in doing so, we're going to expose a procedural trap that can make the justice system feel like an impossible maze, especially if you're trying to go it alone.
Okay, to really get how a court can just disregard evidence like this, we first need to understand the standard playbook for any legal argument. Think of it like a very structured conversation, with really clear rules about who gets to talk and when. On the surface, the process seems simple enough, right? It's basically a 3-round match. Round 1, one side files a motion, laying out their argument. Round 2, the other side gets to fire back with a response. And round 3, the first side gets the final word with a reply. Seems fair. A clear beginning, a middle, and an end. And you know, the whole point of this system is to keep things orderly and predictable. It's designed to stop legal fights from turning into this endless back-and-forth chaos. It ensures cases can actually move forward. But what happens when that orderly structure gets turned into a weapon? Now, let's see how this very predictable process got twisted into a high-stakes ambush in the Bass case. This is where the rules of procedure suddenly became a weapon, used against a homeowner fighting a really complex foreclosure case all by himself.
Okay, this timeline lays out the trap perfectly. In Idaho, the rules say a reply has to be served at least 7 days before a hearing. But here, the plaintiffs dropped theirs late on a Sunday, less than 48 hours before the hearing on Tuesday morning. And this brief was apparently full of brand new arguments. This forced Bass to scramble all day Monday to file a response, only to walk into court Tuesday and have the judge throw it all out before he could even get started.
This procedural bottleneck actually has a name. It's called the reply void, and it's a huge flaw in the system. The rules give one side the final word, but if they use that final word to sneak in new arguments, the other side is just stuck. There's no official by-the-book way for them to respond.
And this is the key. Legal ethics professor Elizabeth Morgan calls it an impossible choice. What do? Do you just stay quiet and let these brand new unanswered arguments hang in the air? Or do you try to file a response, knowing the court might just toss it out on a technicality? It's a total no-win situation, and it's exactly what happened to Jeremy Bass.
So this brings us back to the big question we started with. What was in those documents? What was Bass trying so desperately to show the judge that got shut down so fast? Well, Bass argued it was nothing short of a bombshell, a direct admission from the plaintiffs themselves, buried in their own paperwork, that he believed could have completely blown up their right to take his home. And there it is. This is the quote from the plaintiff's own legal filing that Bass was trying to get in front of the court. They admitted, in writing, that they called the auction trustee beforehand to find out the lender's opening bid. Now, to Bass, this wasn't just some innocent phone call. He saw it as evidence of something much, much bigger. So why does this one little sentence matter so much? Well, Bass argued this was clear proof of pre-auction coordination, what you might call bid rigging. He claimed this wasn't just a potential violation of antitrust laws, but that it could prove the entire foreclosure sale was a sham. And under Idaho law, that could have stripped the plaintiffs of their protected status as a good faith purchaser, which would basically unravel their whole case.
You know, this entire mess really boils down to two totally different ways of looking at legal rules. Are they about following the instructions to the letter no matter what, or are they about making sure the end result is actually just?
This slide just lays out the clash perfectly. On one side, you have the court's view, which is all about rigid procedure. The rulebook doesn't say you can file a reply to a reply, so you can't. End of story. But on the other side is the litigant's view, which is all about getting to a just result. The argument here is that the rules are supposed to guarantee fairness, and when there's a gap, a judge should step in to fill it, especially when one side pulls a fast one at the last minute.
And here is the unbelievable irony in all of this. Just a few weeks earlier, the same judge admitted in court that the very rules she was now enforcing with zero flexibility were, in her own words, a little convoluted. It really shines a light on how tough it is for a regular person without a lawyer who's expected to perfectly navigate a system that even judges admit is confusing.
And the trap just got deeper. When Bass asked the court to reconsider its decision, the logic became completely circular. The court essentially said it couldn't look at the evidence because Bass didn't bring it up in the first hearing, which of course was the very hearing where the court banned him from talking about it. It is a textbook catch-22.
So if this is a known trap that's basically baked right into the rules, how do we fix it? How do we stop this from happening to someone else down the road?
Well, the good news is we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Other court systems have already figured out solutions to the reply void. In federal court, for instance, you can ask the judge for permission to file a special sur-reply. Other states have rules that let you file a motion to strike the new arguments entirely. The point is, there are fixes. So for Idaho and states like it, the path forward is pretty clear. They could officially change the rules to allow responses to new arguments. Or judges could just get way stricter about enforcing the deadlines and rules that already exist. This is a fixable problem.
Ultimately, it really all comes down to what Dr. Montgomery says here. This is about the entire purpose of our justice system. If the rules themselves become a wall that blocks a court from seeing the truth, then the system is failing at its most basic job, to deliver justice based on the facts.
And that leaves us with this final, really important question. A case like Jeremy Bass's forces us all to ask, are our legal rules a roadmap to get to a fair outcome? Or has following the rules, just for the sake of the rules, become the goal itself, even if it means justice gets left behind?